Hey everybody, welcome. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 tips that I have to help you gain ELO quickly. So this is not going to necessarily be like overnight, the next day you're going to be up 5 divisions, but if you start doing these 5 things and perfect them, you will go up faster in ELO than almost any other method out there. And I'm going to be focusing mostly on macro and shot calling here. So you can do this with any champion. You can do this even if your micro is not all that great. You miss a lot of skill shots, you miss some CS, things like that. Obviously, it's better if you hit the skill shots. It's better if you hit the CS, but you can still climb with these tips even if you're not the greatest mechanical player in the world. Remember, if you like this content, leave a like and subscribe. Come check out the rest of the content on the channel as well. I have a ton of guides just like this one. I stream every night starting around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have lots of coaching sessions on the channel. We have lots of playlists, so if you just want to watch like one specific champion, mostly supports like Zyra, Thresh, Nami, Rakan, then I have playlists for that. But then I also have content for other roles as well, including tier lists that are new and fresh every single patch. So be sure to check all that out. If you don't have time to watch this whole video, you can look in the description. I'll have timestamps for you, and I'll also have access to this Google Doc that we're going to be going through if you just kind of want to skim and read along yourself. And this is intended to be kind of a broader, quick guide just to introduce you to these concepts. If you want to know more about them, especially the first 3 that I'm going to talk about, be proactive, wave management, and dodge more games, then I have the links here as well, and I'll put them in the description to longer videos that I have that focus more specifically on those skills. So like the 5 tips or better macro video basically is talking just about better macro for about an hour, and it'll give you even more tips than I'm able to cover in this video. So be sure to check that out as well. So this is not going to be one of those clickbait, 10-minute videos. It just tells you something like die less, play good champions, don't tilt, generic stuff like that. This is going to be real stuff that I think will help you gain a lot of ELO. So let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, number 1 is you need to be proactive. Okay, especially in this meta right now. This is patch 8.13. When I'm recording this, and the enchanters just got nerfed on 8.12, so like your Jannas, your Sonas, stuff like that has been nerfed. So in years past, you could be relatively reactive with something like a Janna and still be really strong if your AD carry was strong enough and you had other people on your team that you could play around, and you can still win with Janna. But I think moving forward, how Riot's going to try to balance it is they really want people to be proactive and make plays and be rewarded for that. And that's kind of the meta we're in right now, and I think it's going to continue to be that way. So I think that now more than ever, you need to be someone who's proactive, who makes plays. So what does that mean? Let's go ahead and talk about that in 5 proactive things that you can do to help you gain an advantage on the map. Okay, so first stop, you need to be playing proactive champions. So from the support role, and most of my viewers on the channel are support players because I'm one of the only people that does support content on YouTube, but this can apply to other roles as well, and I'll talk about how in just a second. But you need to learn champions that can start fights, okay? So like Rakan, Morgana, Pyke, Thresh, Blitz, Zyra, Brand. So it doesn't have to be the big damage, heavy hitters like Zyra and Brand. It can just be people that start fights. But you really want to have that type of thing because then that puts the ball in your court. You get to decide, okay, when am I going to start this fight? When am I going to make this decision? And you don't have to wait on like your ally Sejuani who just never pulls the trigger, or you don't have to wait on, your top lane Malphite who just never pulls the trigger at the right time. You can be the person who pulls the trigger. You can be the person, who's interpreting the game state and decides, okay, this is a good time to fight. Let's do it. And you need to be that person. So there are other champions that can do this as well. Someone like Nautilus might be able to do it. Bard could do it with his ult. There are other champions. But just think to yourself, I need to be playing someone who can start a fight, who can make a play, who can do something when the time is right, okay? So that you're making that decision and you're not relying on your allies to do that for you. Another way to be proactive is you need to predict enemy movements and rotations. We're going to talk about that a little bit more when we talk about calling everything for your team, shot calling, and playing around strength. But in general, just try to think about where are people going to go. Right? Okay, the enemy's going to be going for Dragon. Let's see if we can maybe cut them off and make a play there. Or we think they might go for Baron here pretty soon. Let's see if we can make a play there. Or, my top laner's overextended. I think they're going to try to rotate and pick him off. Maybe I can, make a play in the enemy jungle with mid laner and me. If we're, standing in a heavily warded zone, we might be able to pick off someone who's trying to rotate, for example. So just think carefully about where are they going to move, where are they going to rotate, and can you do something about that that's proactive to counter it. It could also be, well, we know they're going to send probably 3 people top. We see them walking over wards to go try to kill our Camille, who's overextended, so maybe we can get the dragon instead, if we call that. Or maybe we can get the tier 2 bottom if they're going to send 3 or 4 people top. Or, hey, their jungler and AD carry are fighting for farm down in the bot lane. Neither one of them has teleport. Maybe we can rush Baron really quickly. So just thinking carefully about where's the enemy and what are some ways that we can punish them for their current positioning on the map. Okay, and here are some of the best proactive plays, some of the top 5 relatively simple things that you can do to gain an advantage in the game. First off, all of these, you want the lights out treatment. That's what I call it. And that means you need to have supreme vision control. And I have a link here for my vision control video as well. But you want them to have 0 vision on the map, no vision. That means that they can't make really good decisions and that you're going to be able to set up a lot of these plays. Because if they see you setting this up, if they see you setting up a Baron bait, if they see you setting up a sneaky reinforcement that we're going to talk about, then not only is your attempt probably going to fail, but they might actually be able to turn it around on you and get a really good play on you instead. You don't want that to happen. So you need to knock out all of their wards. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the top places where we'll do this and how you can control the vision here. I'm just going to be using Rift Kit to help you out. So if you're trying to make a play around Baron, you know, the number 1 places where things will be warded, obviously in the Baron pit. So you want to have a control ward in there. And then usually just in this triangle somewhere, there's going to be wards. So with one sweeper, you should be able to clear all of this. But as you're trying to gain vision, you need to make sure that you have proper vision first. So you have to drag your ward line forward, and you need to know where the enemy is so that you don't get caught out while you're trying to ward this. So you want to make sure that you have lane priority, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So let's say that you have your lane, you know, pushed up to here. Let's grab some more stuff here. Let's say that they're, you know, you see their mid laner is over here. Maybe their jungler is like over here. Maybe you already have a ward established like right here. Their jungler's over here, the mid laner's here, you know, the AD carries bot lane, and so on and so forth. So you have lane priority, you have your mid lane pushed up, so then you can safely go in here and ward. The places where you want to ward, if you're trying to make this play, are probably something like this. Okay, you always want to ward over this wall to check this alleyway. Don't ward in this bush if you're trying to bait Baron, just because that's not going to give you enough vision of this back alley. So ward here. You can also ward down here if you want to, if it's safe to do so. Let me go ahead and get rid of that there. But this is where you want to ward. All right, and then just sweep this area. So make sure, particular, this is swept, this is swept, this is pinked. And if you have multiple pink wards in your inventory, which you should, make sure this is not pinked first, or this is not warded first, so go ahead and pink this. So sweep this, pink this, clear out anything in there, and then put a pink right here. And the reason that you're putting a pink right here is this will catch any sneaky wards. Now, this is not going to start happening until you get closer to, like, Diamond. But some people might do it at lower ELOs, where if they've lost map control, then they might try to ward in a funky spot where you won't see it. So this used to be a very common place to ward. It'd be like right here or right here. So it's very unlikely that you're going to sweep this, and it can still kind of keep vision on Baron. So just put a pink right here in the river after you have one there, and that'll catch any of these tricky wards that are like along the walls that are trying to get some sneaky vision on you. Now, this is obviously if you are on the top side. If you're on the red side here, go into blue side. If you're on blue side, go into red side, then you want to ward here. Probably about right here, and then over here. Potentially. If you have really good control of the situation, then you might be able to ward over here if you have it pushed up quite a bit. But this is kind of the 3 areas that you want to ward. It's a lot easier to bait Baron if you're on red side going to blue. And the place where you would want to be for that is right here. This is the number 1 place where you can bait Baron. Let's move the stuff over here, and let's just assume you're on red side. And we'll talk about blue side here in a second. Yeah, this is the number 1 place to bait, because sometimes people will throw skill shots in here just to try to catch you. I mean, obviously, like, right here is a pretty good place, too. But the problem is, if they have, like, an Ezreal or a Ziggs or a Lux or whatever, they're going to throw skill shots in here to check to see if you're in there first. Right? So you can stand there if you want to, but some teams, especially in gold and higher, will start to, skill shot that instead. So a better place to stand is over here, because if they suspect if they throw a skill shot through this bush, you're not going to be there. So you could be waiting right around this corner and then just engage on them around that corner. This is also a great spot because then you're ready. So if they try to come up this way, if they think they're sneaky and they're going to run over here, instead of running up this bush area, then you're ready to get them right here as well. So you're ready if they come this way, or if they come this way, you're prepared and good to go for an engage. So that's really the best place that you want to stand if you're trying to bait Baron. Another place... Now this is a little bit trickier, but if you're going for like a full-on... If you're trying to take Baron, you would put it to where I said here, but if you're trying to bait Baron... sometimes putting it like this is good. And then, of course, like here is the most common place, right? Once again, where people are going to throw skill shots in there because that's like the number one place people hide for Baron. You could play around that similar to this concept right here. Move this stuff over here. You could play around that by waiting right here. So you want to make sure that you have this swept, pink on Baron, and then you hide right here. And then that way you're ready. If they try to come down here, you can pick them off. If they try to come through here, they'll throw a skill shot, think that this is clear, and then they'll keep running over here. Boom, you got them. Because no one's going to throw a skill shot right here. They might skill shot this bush, they might skill shot this bush, but they're not going to skill shot right here. So if you have both of these warded, then you're ready to go, ready to bait as soon as that comes out. Then often what will happen is, usually you can kill at least the support. Sometimes the support will try to go alone toward this stuff, so you can usually get the support. If they bring 1 or 2 friends and you have, all of your allies there, that's even better. If you kill 3 people, then you not only get the Baron, but you also get 3 kills on top of it. So that's a really, really good play. And that's the best way to close out games, honestly, especially if you have a major advantage on the map, but you just can't close, or they have something that's really difficult to siege, like an Anivia or a Ziggs or a Heimerdinger or something like that. If you have... all of their towers down, and say you had this tower down, that tower's down, you have all of their, first few towers down, but you just can't quite siege it, then just baiting like that is one of the best ways to potentially make a play. So if you master that, if you master getting supreme vision control of these areas, then you bait in those places. Remember, it's right there or right here, depending on, which side of the map you're on. You will gain a lot of ELO just off of that. And all you have to do is just tell your team, come with me, bait Baron, I'll start a fight, let's do it. And then just ping your control wards in your inventory. And most people will do it. So just try to do that. Once again, you don't have to actually do the Baron. And a lot of times, if they have 5 people up, it's a bad idea to do Baron. Unless you have a really fast Baron bait taking team, like a Master Yi or a Cassiopeia or something like that. Or unless you see like their jungler or something like that bot lane. But most of the time, just baiting it is a much safer option. But in order to make that work, you have to shut out the vision. You have to deny the vision with your sweeper, with your control wards. I always tell people that I coach, on average, you need to have 1 control ward per 5 minutes at least as the game goes on, and sometimes even more than that. And yeah, that sounds like a lot of gold, right? 75 gold a pop. But how do you put a price on winning the game? If you have this shut out, you're going to get a Baron, which is worth 1,500 gold. You're going to get at least 1 or 2 kills before you get the Baron most of the time. Because usually, even if you just kill the support, then a lot of times they'll be too scared to come over there because they don't have vision. And so they'll just give you the Baron. But, you can get hundreds, maybe even thousands of gold off of kills with assists. If people try to come up here and you get them, you can get the Baron itself with his 1,500 gold. That usually leads to multiple towers, which are, 750 each. They may have nerfed the tower gold a little bit in the last patch, depending on your local gold. It's at least like 500 gold each. So that's, multiple thousands of gold worth of advantage. So yeah, if you end up in a game having to buy 10 control wards, whatever, that's 750 gold, but you just got several thousand gold, and won the game. I mean, what's the price on winning the game, right? So think of it as an investment. It's not a tax, it's an investment. So make sure you're shutting out that vision. You can make those plays. Baiting Baron, that's the number one way to win games most of the time, pretty much at any ELO. If you can just deny the vision, force them to come to you, and if you get a Baron, even if they don't come to you, even if they don't go for the bait, if you actually get that Baron, you're probably going to win anyways. Like, it's a huge percentage your advantage if you get the Baron. Okay, so other, like, smaller time plays you can make, especially earlier in the game. One of them, to be proactive, one of them I like to call the fake back. And this is great, especially in the bot lane. So if you get lane priority, which means that you're pushing up, we'll talk about wave management here in just a second. But let's say that you get lane priority, right? Which means that you have them pushed in. Okay? So we'll go ahead and just draw. We'll say the minions are like right here. Now you need to be careful with this. You need to tell your AD carry, be careful, okay? Because you don't want them getting engaged on too early. But, you know, what's the number one thing most supports do if the enemy sees you, right, and you leave vision? What are they going to think you're doing most of the time, right? They're going to think, oh, he is going to ward somewhere, or he's going to, like, rotate mid or do something. And you can do that, you know, and you should do that before you try to make this play. You should try to get a ward, you know, here if they don't have it pinked, and then here if you're on the red side, right? But, you know, the real thing here, other than warding, which is important, but is the fake back. So this is part of it. You could call this the fake ward as well, but just like the fake out. So even if you have wards over there, if you have them shut out of vision, if they don't have a ward in this bush, or like this first bush, you can act like you're going back and then circle around and go over here and just wait, and then they'll push the wave out to here. If you have an advantage, right? So this, once again, this is if you're a little bit ahead in a lane, or you think if you have a really good engaged proactive team comp, then you could make this work. Oops, I thought I was just erasing it. Okay, there we go. Losing my mind here. Then they're going to push back up here, and then you can pop out of this bush and kill them. Or you can set this up with a pink first. You can put a pink in this bush. This is also pink baiting, which is a separate one that I have here, but it's a control word bait. It's a similar concept. So basically, you just act like all this is with the fake back is you just go out of sight when they're pushed in, and then they're just going to assume that you're roaming or warding or doing something like that. And then you just get around into this bush. If you're confident this bush isn't warded, then you can wrap all the way around and get into this bush. But you want them to see you walk diagonally out of sight, and then you loop around and get whichever one of these bushes you can get. Right? This is great for Brand. This is great for Zyra, who have really powerful skill shots. Great for any kind of hook champion, Blitz, Pike, Thresh, Rakan. Any of these proactive champions that I'm talking about, it's going to be great. Now, if you're something like Janna, it's not going to matter that much, right? You could come out of this bush, I guess, and throw a W at them, but it's not going to be as high impact as if you're playing one of these really proactive, like, playmaking champions. Now, the pink bait, there are several versions of the pink bait, and this is similar. So you can drop a pink, you know, in this bush, and then I'll guarantee you this is like a magnet for supports. They will come over here and try to clear this pink, no matter what. So, you know, let's say that your minions are, like, right here, right? You had this pinked. You just did the fake back, right? So you went over here when it was pushed up, just, you know, maybe 10 seconds ago. You went over here, you went around, you wait here. They might be a little scared of you, especially if you're ahead. So the first thing they're going to do, they're going to be really cautious here. They're going to walk up. They're going to put a ward in this bush to make sure you're not there. All right? And then they're going to see, oh, there's a pink ward there. Okay? And then they're going to, you know, get the wave up a little bit, maybe here. And they're going to think, okay, it's just the AD carry there. The support's not in this bush. We saw the support leave. You know, the AD carry's here by themselves, so I'm just going to go up and clear this pink ward. And then, you know, boom, there's your Thresh hook, there's your Pike hook, there's your Zyra root, whatever it is, you just hit them from outside of this bush when they're trying to clear that pink bush, or you jump on, you know, your AD carry with Rakan and then W over to him. That's when you make your strike. Okay? That is really easy to pull off. It works all the time. It's very, very good. You fake back into a pink bait right there. Another really popular way to bait for a pink. There we go. Another really popular way to bait for a pink is to fight over this tri-bush. Okay? You can bait them on their own pinks too. So if they have this pink, for example, because they also, you know, all supports really want to protect their own pinks, right? It's so easy to bait supports on pinks. And I get baited by it too sometimes, right? So let's say your jungler wants to gank. Okay? You have lane priority again. So you're in here, but you don't want to dive. You're not quite sure where their jungler is. Maybe they have too much CC. You just really don't want to dive. But you know they have a pink ward in this bush. You know this is clean because they haven't been up there to ward it because you've had lane priority the whole time. Now your jungler's coming down right here. So how can you get a good fight here? Because they have this pink, they have vision, you know, it's going to be hard for you to make a play. Well, tell the jungler to come down. You come over here. 80 carries, just, you know, acting cool, acting normal. You come over here, ward this. All right? And then tell your jungler to come over here. Just ping, like, right here. All right? They come over here, stand right here. And then you come in here, bait a fight, start clearing this pink. You know, their support's going to come over there and fight you. And then, boom, you do whatever your engage is, your hook, your root, whatever. You fight them here, your jungler rolls across, starts fighting them, 80 carry collapses, boom, there's your fight. So you can bait them for a pink there. So that works really well too. So just fight them at the tri-bush. Just go in there, try to clear their pink out. Or you can put a pink in there and clear out their green ward, and then when they come and try to fight you, you know, make sure your jungler's there, and boom, you have a free bait. Now the last one that I'll talk about here as far as this bait, and then we'll move on, is I call it an oops pink ward. Now this one is a little bit more advanced, a little bit more risky, but once again, people love pink wards, right? So if you have this closed out, right? Now this is kind of like a mid-game thing. This is after like the bot lane towers are broken and you're just trying to like find a play on the map. It's a little too early for Baron. You know, everybody's just kind of in random places. But let's say that, you know, everybody's just kind of settling in, doing their ARAM thing middle. Maybe there's like one random person bottom, whatever. But you have this pinked, you have this cleared out. Where is, okay, support's down here. You're done with that. So you come over here, you're hanging out here. Once you have this pinked, or you can sweep it, drop a pink ward right here. I call this the oops pink ward. So you drop it there, like you swept it, and you just walked away, right? So you're not looking to, you're not there, you're just chilling, and you're waiting right on this wall. Now this works awesome with like Brand or Zyra, who can do it yourself and get that full kill. I do this all the time when I play Zyra. Drop your pink ward there, just wait right here. I'll guarantee you someone's going to come over there and try to clear it. Might be the support, comes over, might be the mid laner, might be the jungler, but somebody's going to come over here, try to clear that pink ward, and you kill them. You can also drop it like just outside of a bush or something. Like you can drop a pink ward right here, like, oops, I missed the bush. Pink ward. So just drop it in a very conspicuous place, like near a bush. Like you accidentally misclicked it. And then that's a good way to start a fight also. So it doesn't even have to be in a bush, right? Where they're trying to fight you in a bush. If they're really scared, just put it out in the open. Like obviously if they see you do it, then it's not going to work. But you can go ahead and put it there if they're not looking. And then just wait. And when someone comes by, you can make a play. Now this is a great place to sit as support also, because you're still leeching experience off of the mid lane. So you're not losing experience by hanging out here doing this. So that's very, very handy. So yeah, so that covers kind of the fake back, the control ward bait, the normal bait. Another way, like you can actually just literally fake like you're backing, which works great. So I talked about the support, you know, kind of running this little path and getting around that way. You can do this with your 80 carry as well. Just ping it here. So, and this can be kind of risky, but if you have them pushed in, if you have the priority again, and let's see here, 80 carry, support, 80 carry, support. So if you have them pushed in, you know, what are most people going to want to do before they back? It's push in. We'll talk about why in a wave management section here in just a minute. But you can just come over here, push them all the way in, and then just wait right here. Make sure that you have this warded before you do it. Just wait right here. They're going to push up. Just let them get this entire wave. Don't touch it. And as soon as they get in range here, they're going to think that you backed, and then you just engage on them and kill them. So we call that the old fake back. Just act like you're backing, especially if you're ahead, obviously. And then just, you know, engage, kill them, and then back with an extra 600 gold. So that's really nice as a fake back. You can do that as a top laner too, you know, fairly easily, where you push them in like you have priority, and then you just wait like in the middle bush or something here. If you have like an engaged champion that can kill somebody, when they're pushed in, they push out to here, boom, you get them out of the bush. Nice, easy kill. So that's a way if you're winning the lane to dominate more. All right, so let's talk about wave management next. Now, I'm going to try to pick this up. I don't want this video to be too long, but I want to be specific. I don't want to give you the, play smarter, macro better, make plays, be proactive. I want to tell you actual things you can do. Okay, so this one's going to be wave management. All right, so this is my laning essentials guide. So this talks a whole lot about different ways you could manage the wave, why, so on and so forth. So be sure to watch it if you want more details on this, but I'm going to go over the quick version here for you. So wave management is one of the most important things to understand in League of Legends. Creeps matter, and they matter a lot, right? So one of the best ways, if you play a non-support role, to gain a lot of ELO is just improve your creep score. So if you go from, if you're like an 80 carry, and you go from hitting 40 CS to hitting 80 CS, I will guarantee you, you will get out of bronze. Okay. You will very easily get out of bronze. I'll guarantee you that right now. If you just hit more CS, you will get out a lot. But this is not going to be about how to CS better. It depends on your champion and all that. Beyond the scope of this video. But CS better, it'll be helpful. But another way that you can manage CS is by managing the waves better. So it's important to understand, well, why are minions so important, right? Well, each wave, on average, now every other wave is going to have a cannon minion, so every other wave is more valuable than the others, but there are 3 melee minions and 3 caster minions, right? Now, melee minions are worth 14 gold each, casters are worth 21 gold each, and a cannon minion, it depends on how long the game's been going on, but kind of in the early to mid game, they're going to be worth about 60 gold each, or 70 gold each. It's from 60 to 90, I think, depending on game time. But I just went for 70 just for easier math here. So you're going to get 42 gold per melee melee minions in a wave, 63 gold off of casters, and then about 35 gold from half a cannon minion, right? So that's about 140 gold per wave. So basically, the equivalency for this is 2 waves are about 280 gold. A kill is generally worth about 300 gold, not including the assist. So 2 waves are 15 minions. You know, you have your standard, or 13 minions. 2 waves are 13 minions. So you have your standard 6, and then occasionally you get that 7 for 13. And then that roughly equals 1 kill. It's slightly less, so about 15 minions are equal to a kill with no assist. And that's the way to think of it. So if you're up 45 CS in your lane over your lane opponent, that's the same thing as being up 3 kills. It also doesn't give shutdown gold. Now, it's important to remember that, too, because if you have, like, 20 CS, but 3 kills, and they kill you, they're going to get some of that gold back, right? But if you have something like 65 CS, which would be roughly the equivalent of 3 kills, advantage over the 20 CS, they don't get shutdown gold for that. They don't get any extra gold for killing you. But if they kill you after you have those kills, they get extra gold. So that's why CSing is one of the best ways to gain a major advantage on the map. Also, you get a lot more experience for doing that. So kills are flashy, kills are fun, kills are not as good as CS a lot of the time, just because of the shutdown mechanic. So this is why wave management is really important. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing the amount of CS that you get, creep score, versus the amount of CS that the enemy gets. Okay? So this means that before you do anything on the map, if you're going to rotate, if you're going to try to get dragon, if you're going to try to get a tower somewhere, if you're going to go help your jungler, anytime, if you want to go fight for scuttle, if you want to go get vision, anytime you're going to do anything, you need to push them in. They call this, if you watch any pro games, they call it gaining lane priority. So they call it priority because you have the option to go do what you want. You have the priority to go do stuff. Whereas typically they can't go do stuff or they miss minions. Okay, so let me take a simple example here of dragon. And I heard this tip. I forgot who told me this tip, but this is something that a challenger player had told this person. And it seems so simple, but it's something that people don't do. So let's say that there's an important dragon up. Right? Let's say that your jungler wants to do it. It's an infernal dragon or whatever. It's pretty early in the game. Let's say everybody's like level, 5, something like that. And you have like a new that wants to go do it, whatever. Okay? And let's say that you are red side. So your jungler's like hanging out over here. And let's say that this lane is, basically even here. Well, before you go do anything, you need to push this lane up. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to start using your spells carefully. It depends on the matchup. You want to make sure they don't engage and kill you when they see you use your spells. But in general, you want to start auto-attacking the wave, start using your spells, if it's safe to do so, to push them and get them in. Especially at lower ELOs, people won't know what's going on, right? So you want to push them in. And so when you get them to like right here, and let's say that they have, minions pushing into them, now you can rotate over to go help your jungler do dragon. Right? So if you come up here, if I can find the right button, there we go. If you come up here, this is a really tough choice for them. Because now, if they want to come up and help, so let's say, that they have the dragon warded, and they see it, and they're like, okay, we're going to go, like, try to contest this. Well, now they're going to miss CS. So now it's going to be ticking away. So let's say there were like initially 3 or 4 CS here, and then the next wave's crashing in. So potentially they could have up to 9 minions here, for example, and they're going to lose all of these to the tower. So if they come over here and you guys see them, if you have good vision here, right? Let's say you have vision here. You see them coming over, just don't do it, right? If you're scared that like it's going to be a fight, okay, just back out. No big deal. So they lose 9 minions there, right? They're going to be losing over 200 gold just to come take a look at dragon, just to try to contest it, not even get the dragon. They're just going to come take a look at it. And they're going to lose, that much. They also lose that experience. You gain the experience when you pushed in, and they're losing it, right? So, if everything else goes neutral, if nobody gets the dragon, you still win because you denied them CS under the tower. You denied experience to them under the tower, right? And so that's why lane priority is so important, because that means you're a winner either way. Even if they come contest you, even if they steal the dragon, at a bare minimum, they still lost CS under the tower. So you're forcing them to take a risk. You have no risk because the minions are pushing into them, not into you. So you don't have any risk there. They have additional risk. This fight could go really poorly for them too. They could die, and then they lose all of the minions. And then that's another point about why it's important to push in minions. So let's say that, once again, minions are stacking up right here. They want to come fight you with this dragon. Let's say there's a cannon wave rolling up here in just a second. You kill them, so they come over here. They don't have this warded, but they just want to try to fight around dragon. You actually kill them when they're coming around here, right? Boom. Everybody dies. Now you have 10 minions stacked up right here, and instead of dragon, you can just ping it and say, hey, let's just go get this tower. And then you go down because you already have a minion wave there, right? The minions are already set up. They're ready to go. They're on the tower now, right? They're on the tower now. Boom, you have a tower. So that means if you win the fight, you get an additional bonus. You can take the tower. They have additional risk. They're losing CS. If they lose the fight, you get the tower. Even if they win the fight, they're still going to lose CS at the tower. If it's neutral, they're still losing CS. Or you could just take the dragon out from under them. So that's good. If you keep it in the middle here, so let's say your jungler, let's say that you don't push it. If you keep it in the middle here, your jungler's over here, the creeps are about even, and they just follow you over here, there's not really an advantage, If you win this fight, well, the creeps are still here, so you probably can't push and take the tower in time. They could just sit here and just A-ram you if they want to. Maybe some people come over here and you guys just have a stare-off for like 30 seconds around dragon. You're not gaining any advantage off of that. The creeps are just sitting here. So you always want to make sure you're getting an advantage off of the creep wave before you go get an objective, right? So if you're going to go do, and this always should be the case. So if you're going to go do Baron, for example, or you're going to go try to get vision around Baron, go push up the creep wave to their tier 2. And then you can go and sweep all these minions because it's going to force them to be there, right? Then you know where their mid laner is. If you know where the mid laner is, they're not going to jump over this wall and kill you while you're warding, or that's one less person that's a threat to do that to you, right? And so that's what you always want to do. You want to have the side lane pressure. So let's say that you're baiting Baron. You want to have the side lane pressure whenever you can get it. Let's say. So let's say that you're baiting Baron. You've got the creep wave pushed up to here. You've got the creep wave pushed up to here. Well, now they have to choose. Do they want to come and try to contest Baron? If they do, they're going to lose a lot of CS at this tower. Um, if they don't, if they come down here to farm it, then you might be able to pressure Baron and get it. If you guys if you have, CS pressure in these side lanes, and you guys win a fight around here, then maybe instead of Baron, maybe you don't have enough to do Baron. Maybe you just kill a couple of people and they have, like, I don't know, a Ziggs or something to pressure you so that you can't do the Baron. Or maybe their jungler's up and he's 3 levels ahead of your jungler. You can't do Baron, but you just won this fight. Your top laner can teleport down here on this huge wave that's on a tower and get the tower. So you just always want these waves pushed in whenever you can, because then if you win a fight, you can convert it to towers. You get vision. Right? Someone has to go deal with this wave. You get vision of them. That gives you opportunities to start 4v5s. Maybe their top laner comes down here to try to clean up this wave, but they don't have their teleport. Right? Boom. Okay, they don't have teleport, start a fight. Whereas if the minion wave was over here, then you wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to say, oh crap, we have to go clear this wave, so we can't bait Baron right now. So I talk about that much, much more in the wave management video. Be sure to watch it, but that's really important to understand, that you always want the creeps on your side. You want them pushing in so that it creates additional risk for the enemy. They're going to lose CS. You're going to get vision of them. And you're going to have an opportunity to convert kills into towers if a fight goes well. Okay? So that's why wave management is so important. So you're going to contest Baron, you're going to do Dragon, you want to rotate, you want to go Ward, whatever it is, push the wave in first. And just make sure that you have priority so that you're putting that risk on them if they want to try to stop you from whatever you're doing. Okay. Other things to keep in mind as far as like wave management goes, do not fight in minions. Okay, minions do a lot of damage early on. I'm not going to look up exactly how much, but trust me, they do a lot more than you think. If each minion, think about it this way, if each minion, even if they only do like 20 damage to you, early on in the game, there's 6 of them, right? That's 120 damage per volley from all of those minions on a wave. And if you think you're a champion that's going to have like 500 or 600 health early on, 2 volleys of that, they're probably going to do 50% of your HP. So minions do a lot of damage. So that means that, if we're down back in the bot lane, can we just reset this thing? Not sure if there's a reset. Share, toggle notes. There we go. Reset everything. If you're down here in the bot lane, and let's say, and this is a risk when it's pushing into you, they're going to have more minions. That's the easy way to look at it. If, you're just kind of looking on the fly and you're not counting the minions. If they have a big stack of minions, it's pushing into you, you don't want to fight most of the time, okay? So let's say it's pushing into you here, and this is a real easy mistake to make, but let's say that they have like, I don't know, 1, 2... Oh, it's hard to figure that out. Let's say they have 8 minions and you have like 5. Right? You don't want to go into that because they're going to have 3 more minions than you. And that means, if it does 20 more, basically you're going to be taking 60 more damage than they're taking every second that you're fighting. Every time they get an auto attack volley off. That's a lot, right? That's like 1 extra champion auto attack. So it's almost like it's a 3v2 if you fight in that minion wave. Even if they just have a 3 minion advantage on you, if it's 8-5. Now, if they have like a lot of minion advantage, right? So if you have like 2 and they have 10 or something, then that's even more astronomically bad. So if they have more minions than you, do not fight in it. On the flip side, if they want to fight you and the minions, then that's something that you should encourage, right? So if you have priority, right? If it's pushing into them and you have the 8 and the 2, then you can feel much more confident engaging if you're like a Leona or something, because if they want to fight you, they're fighting through those minions. And they're probably going to die, right? Or if they're chasing you, for example, let's say they chase you past the minion line. Let's say that it has been a relatively neutral lane, right? Let's say that it's like 6 and 6 here, and they want to engage on you on this back line, right? Let's say that they, engage with their Leona. They step into your minion wave and engage beyond it to catch you out here. And then your minions are turning around hitting them, but their minions aren't because your minions are way closer than theirs, then you can fight them. Just pay attention to the minions. Look at who they're hitting. Right? But just be aware that they do a ton of damage, and you need to be very, very careful around those minions. Okay? And I'm not going to go into super depth here with this one, but just think about how you want to manage the wave when you're in the laning phase. Right? So you can do forward. I think this is the best thing in solo queue if you can do it safely, which is pressure, which means you push the wave, you get really good vision, you have priority, that allows you to rotate if you want, that allows you to set up those baits that I talked about earlier. You can do the fake back, you can do control ward baiting that way, you can do just kind of the, wrap around baiting. There are a lot of different options that become available if you can play forward, which means you're going to have the minions on their side. Keep in mind, though, that makes you easier to gank because you're pushed in. And that's really the one major risk there. Also, if you're playing a hard engaged champ that has to go forward into them like a Leona, you're not going to be able to hard engage under their towers safely that often, right? Unless you're doing a very specific dive. If you're playing a hook champion, you can still hook them, right? You can still hook them if you're Pike or Thresh or whatever and do some poke damage. But just be careful if you're like Leona or something. You don't want to push too far forward because you're not going to be able to engage. Neutral. So like a forward position, would be kind of like just what I was talking about, where you have them pushed in, they're basically under their tower, and the minion wave's gonna be like here. So this would be like forward, this would be neutral, and this would be defensive if you're on the red side. Right? So if you're pushing them forward, you're going to be much more susceptible to ganks, right? So you need to be careful. This is dangerous if you're something like a Jinx, or if you're something like a, like a Zyra or something like that. That can be really dangerous to be in that position if you don't know where the jungler is. So that's a good position if you have good ward coverage, or if your jungler's on your side of the map and they're wanting to camp for you. If you can do something with that priority, it's really good, but you want to make sure you don't get ganked. The neutral position is kind of the default. You want to keep it here. This gives you some safety from ganks. This is really good if you want that hard engage and you have a champion that has to go forward like an Alistar or a Leona. This is a really good spot for that. So it's just pretty much neutral. You're not going to have a lot of lane priority, but you're also not going to be pushed into your base. And then one of the worst positions, but sometimes you have to play from this position, is being pushed in, right? So when you take a defensive position. So when you're back into the tower, let's say that, you have like a Vayne Rakan or something, and they have like a Draven Leona. Sometimes you have to assume this position because there's just no way you can fight them, or you're just going to get murdered in the laning phase. Sometimes you just have a losing lane. You just have to lose gracefully and just be under the tower. Also, obviously, if you push them in, they're going to lose CS to the tower, and the tower is going to take incremental damage. So you're going to go down CS in this position a lot. You're going to take tower damage. You're going to be susceptible to a dive if this happens, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to make a play on you, and it's going to be easier for your jungle to come down and gank them potentially, or for your mid laner to sneak down, and gank them. So, if you're in this position, try to call your jungler down or your mid laner down, say, hey, come down, we can kill them. They're pushed up. But in general, you're just going to have to lose the lane with grace unless you have help from somebody else in that position. But, it's okay if you go down like 15, 20 CS and it's a really unfavorable matchup like a Draven or Ezreal. It's okay. Don't feel pressure and think, oh, man, I got to do something extreme here. I got to try to fight him because we're down CS. Sometimes that's just how the lane goes. That's how the matchup is, and you just have to be patient with it. Now, if you're here, something that you can do in the defensive position, there's a couple of options. You can put a pink ward here. Make sure if you do ward this bush, put it all the way down in the corner right here so it'll see this entire wall. Because I see so many people will put it like right here. And this is terrible because it won't see if they ward this, which is a really popular spot to ward. A good support will try to ward over this wall and then knock out that blast plant so that the jungler can't gank them as easily if they're going to push forward. So if you put your ward all the way down here, it will see this entire wall. So you can clean it out if their support wards over the wall. And that'll give your jungler a little bit more pressure. That also allows you to come over here and ward over this wall safely without as much worry about getting ganked. So if you're in this position, you want to put your wards probably just ward over this wall. You want to put them like here, and then probably here, if you can safely do this bush, right? Another option, if you don't think you're going to get dove or whatever, and it's just your mid laner, especially if your mid laner is really far ahead and you want to help them out, you can go donate your pink ward to them. So put a pink ward here or like here, if you're behind. So that way you're just saying, you know what, I'm in a really bad position. Our jungler is not really helping us out that much. I probably don't need to pink ward this. So I'm just going to donate my pink to the mid lane to help them out. right? So that's another option that you can have. So sometimes you might have to be in this defensive position. Don't freak out about it. Just do the best as you can. You can probably predict it from champion select if that's going to happen, which I think is my next topic. Yes. So we'll do the next topic, and then we'll move on. We'll see if we can get this done in about an hour here. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you, once again, the good stuff, right? The details that you can actually lose. Oh, the last thing I meant to mention is punish and contest all CS that you can do safely. So if you're playing a Nami or a Sona or just whatever, anytime they try to get a CS, hit them, right? Because the main concept here, and it's pretty simple, whenever they auto-attack a CS, they can't auto-attack you. Right? They get one auto, they have to stand still, and you know where it's going. It's going for their CS. So watch the life bars on the CS, and whenever they go up to try to last hit something, you hit them back. You land an auto. If you're a Nami or something with harass, you hit them with a wave or a Lulu. Just hit them with your skill shot, with your harass, whenever they go for that CS. If you're looking for a really good time to go for an engage with something like a Leona or an Alistar, do it when they go for that last hit on the CS, because you know where they're going to be. So it's those three reasons, right? You know where they're going to be. They can't auto-attack you back. And they can't move. They sort of self-stun themselves while they do that auto-attack. So it makes it very easy to hit those skill shots. Or it makes it a lot easier than it is under normal circumstances to hit those skill shots, right? So that's the thing. No free CS. If you can help it. If it's dangerous, be careful. So if it's like Draven, Leona, and you're a Nami, especially once you start moving up a little bit, getting into gold and platinum, they're going to be aware that you're going to try to go up and harass that Draven when he tries to CS, and the Leona is going to play around that and engage on you whenever you try to go for that harass. So there is some, mind games to it, but be careful. Make sure they're not going to kill you when you do it, but try to go up and go for that harass. Also, watch for the creeps, like we just talked about. If there's a cannon minion there and a bunch of creeps, don't go for that harass if they have a lot of minions and you don't, because all those creeps are going to start hitting you again. So wait until the wave is a little thin, right? Until there's like 2 or 3 minions left, and then go for that all-in or go for that harass. So just think about it. You don't always have to go for the harass, but just think about it. What can I do when they go for this CS? Can I go for a skill shot? Can I land an auto attack? Can I use one of my spells? What can I do to punish them for getting the CS? And especially in like bronze and silver, this will freak people out. They won't know what to do, right? They're going to try to go up and just go for a last hit, and you're Lulu, and you just EQ them, and then just auto-attack them twice, and all of a sudden they're at like 20% health, and they'll just run away. They might even just flash, because they don't even know what's going on. Like, people just don't play that aggressively a lot of the time in bronze and silver, so if you come at them with that aggression, a lot of times people just don't know what to do, and you'll just win just off of that a lot of times. Okay, so let's move on to the final couple of topics here. So, and this next set, I'm just calling information processing. So this is just kind of understanding the game and just processing information, just learning and using that knowledge to your advantage. So this is like virtually no mechanics whatsoever here. This is strictly just understanding the game and just playing intelligent League of Legends. That's it. And you can do this just by thinking and mostly just by paying attention, honestly. Like just thinking, watching guides like this on my channel. There are other channels that do this type of stuff too, but just learn and just actually have the discipline and do this. Okay? So this is like a little bit of mechanics, right? You gotta, do stuff in the game, be proactive, manage the wave. Not that much, but this is strictly just information processing. Okay, so number 1 is dodge more games. Especially if you're like in gold and platinum, dodge more games. Silver and bronze, it can still be important as well. But especially once you start getting into gold and higher, you need to start dodging more games. Now, why is that? Let me explain dodging real quick. Once again, I have a whole video for you here about dodging games. And I have the Google Doc from that video pulled up here because I'm going to reference it in just a second. So I don't want to type all this up or copy paste it. But be sure to watch that video if you want to know more about it. So dodging, if you don't know, is not, first of all, it's not bad. A lot of people do this. A lot of challenger level players do this all the time. And that's partially why they have a really good win rate, is because, they are good players, but they don't play bad games, right? If they can see it's going to be a really rough game, a lot of top-end players are just going to dodge. They're just not even going to do it. Okay? And so you can't get reported for this or any sort of permanent penalty from Riot. As far as I know, I've dodged like 5 games in a day before. I don't like to do that, but I've had to do that before. And I've never been like, oh, you're reported or you're banned for dodging or whatever. That just doesn't happen. There are penalties, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But the first thing to understand is this is very common among smart, high elo people. It's not a bad thing. It's not immoral. It's not unethical. You're not going to get punished or whatever. This is something that you have to do. Think of it like folding in poker. You know, serious poker players do not play every single hand they get dealt, right? If you get dealt a 2-7 offsuit, you fold. Unless you're getting in free on the big blind or something in Texas Hold'em, you fold, 99% of the time, right? You should fold that 2-7 offsuit. It's the same thing in League of Legends, right? You don't have to just accept everything. Okay, so that's number one about dodging. Number two is you need to understand there is a distinction between LP, which is league points, and MMR, which is your matchmaking rating. Okay, your matchmaking rating is a 4-digit number, and that is using an ELO system from the chess sort of paradigm. If you don't know what that is, whatever, just look it up, ELO system. But basically, that means that it tries to pair you with an opponent of equal skill. And if you play against opponents that are tougher, you're going to gain more matchmaking rating. If you play against opponents that are weaker, you're going to lose more matchmaking rating. But in general, the MMR is what Riot uses to match make your games. Okay, not the LP. The LP is just for show. That's just for funsies. That's just to give people some excitement when they're in their series and all that stuff. It doesn't matter in terms of the kinds of opponents you're playing against. Okay, so LP is just basically a fancy decoration that they implemented in Season 3, and MMR is what they used in Season 1 and Season 2 of League before LP, and then they just keep it under the hood. They never tell you your actual MMR number, but you can look it up on a site like op.gg, and it will estimate your MMR. Okay, so your MMR affects your LP because the more MMR you have relative to your LP, the more LP you're going to gain. Okay, so this can get kind of tricky, right? But basically, if you're winning a lot of games, or you're dodging games, and then you're winning more, you're going to be gaining more LP per game. This is why sometimes, if you're going on a hot win streak, especially if you just finished your promos, you might be gaining, 23 LP per game if you've been winning a lot. Conversely, if you lose a lot and you're at 0 LP, let's say you're like gold 5, 0 LP, and you lose 8 games in a row, even though you're not demoted, the next time you win, you might only win like 14 LP because your MMR is so much lower than your LP. In theory, if your LP and your MMR are similar, let me just show you what I'm talking about here, because I know this gets kind of confusing. Kind of currently, sort of what's been going on with me lately. If you look at this, this will tell you an estimate of your MMR currently, right? So if I'm Platinum 4 currently, now I've been as high as Diamond 5 in the past. I've had kind of a rough season this season. I've been as high as Platinum 1 this season, but anyways, whatever. We are where we are. So it tells me that the average MMR of someone who is Platinum 4, 35 LP is going to be 1824, okay? So mine is 1834, so that's kind of like in a normalized range. Well, if I had like 2,000 MMR, so let's just say that I dodge all kinds of games and I go on a huge win streak, and I have like, maybe it'll say my MMR is equal to Platinum 2, or something like that. Then whenever I win games, I'll be winning like 23 per game, and I'll be losing like 16 per game because my matchmaking rating would be much higher than my current LP is reflecting, okay? Whereas if I go on a huge loss streak, it might say my MMR, even though I'm Platinum 5, 0 LP, if I lost like 20 games in a row, it might say, Platinum 5, 0 LP, but my MMR might say Gold 3. So I'm going to be matched with Gold 3 people in that scenario instead of Platinum 5 people, and I'm going to be losing like 23 and gaining 16. Okay? So that's just important to understand that there's a difference between MMR and LP. Is it confusing? Yes. Do I wish they would just go back to pure MMR? Yes. But the reason that they do that would be much clearer. But the reason they do that is because they want people to have fun. Because most people realistically just kind of move around in the same range. They might go up 1 or 2 divisions, down 1 or 2 divisions, but most people every season stay relatively the same where they are. And that can get boring. And so they want to add this excitement of, oh, there's a series here, or oh, you're really close to your series, or oh, I might get demoted here. And that's just a lot more fun and interesting than just seeing your 4-digit number. Okay, well, I'm 1834. Last week I was 1815. Next week, maybe I'm 1870. Then I fall back to 1845. Just moving around the same 4-digit number without any series or divisions or anything like that. Some people might get bored with that. So anyways, that's why they have 2 systems. But hopefully that explains it. If you want to know more, watch the video. I talk about it much more in depth. But what does this mean in terms of dodging? How does this affect you? Okay? So when you dodge, you do not lose any MMR. 0. You can dodge, 10 games in a row, and you're going to have the exact same MMR. It does not affect your MMR whatsoever. So if you're Platinum 5 or whatever, and you have Platinum 5 MMR, and you dodge 20 games in a row, your LP is going to go down. You're going to be at negative 300 LP under 0. You're going to have to win games to get out of that, but you're still going to be matched with Platinum people. Whereas if you lose 20 in a row at Platinum 5, you're going to get demoted. You're going to fall down to Gold 3 or Gold 2 MMR, and you're going to start getting matched with Gold 2 or Gold 3 people. So your MMR never moves relative whenever you dodge. But you do lose LP, okay? So you do lose league points, all right? So your first dodge of the day is minus 3 LP, and I think it's a 6-minute timer. It used to be 5 minutes, but I think it's 6 now. That means you can't play normal games, you can't play ranked games, you can't do anything on your main account for 6 minutes, and you lose 3 LP. No MMR, but 3 LP. Your second dodge, and everyone thereafter, is 10 LP, and you get a 30-minute timer. So you cannot play normals, you cannot play ARAM, you can't play ERF, nothing for 30 minutes whenever you dodge. Now, I think if you dodge in normals, it also locks you out of ranked. So if you use 2 dodges in normals, and you still can't do ranked for 30 minutes. Okay? Dodging in normals does not affect your ranked LP, but it does affect the timer, I believe. Okay? And it's a 16-hour reset from the last time that you dodge. So if you dodge once at, noon, and then you dodge again at 6 p.m., then you're not going to be able to get that 3-point dodge again until 16 hours after 6 p.m., right? So that would be, 10 a.m. So you would have to wait until 10 a.m. before you dodge again, okay? So it's a 16-hour timer from your last dodge. Okay, so dodging does not affect MMR, it only affects LP. So when is it smart to dodge then? So when should you dodge? Once again, more details in the guide, but the TLDR version here is, if you're gaining or losing 20 LP pers, that means if your MMR is roughly equal to your LP, then you should dodge if you think you have a 40% chance to win. All right, for your first dodge. And you should use your second dodge if it's a 25% chance to win or less. Okay, so if we look here, I've got some math for you here. So basically, if you have a 40% chance to win, right, then that means if you win 4, you would gain 80 LP, right? If you lose 6, then you're going to lose 120 LP. So your average, if you played out 10 games at a 40% win rate, you would lose 40 LP, and that would be an average of minus 4 LP per game that you played, right? So if you dodge that game, if you had a 40% chance to win, you dodge the game, you lose 3 LP, so you're actually saving 1 LP by doing that, right? So you're losing 3, but if it was a 40% chance to win, you would have lost 4, so you're actually gaining 1 LP, right? Now think about this, okay? If you play League, if you play 1 game of League per day, if you dodge once per day, a 40% chance, 200 days per year, okay, so that means that you play League, I don't know, 3 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, all right, just a couple of games a day. If you dodge once per day, you would save a 40% chance, you would save 1 LP per day, that's 200 LP. by the end of a season, right? Now that, that's assuming whatever. It's 200 days of league. There is a preseason, all that stuff. 200 days of league, you would save 200 LP. That's 2 divisions. I mean, that's the difference between you being silver 2 and gold 5, right? Or platinum 2 and diamond 5. So it adds up. So you need to use your dodge, right? If it's a 40% chance to win, you need to lose your dodge. Now, if it's a 10-point dodge, then you need to be dodging at 25%. So I have the math in there as well, and I talk about what happens if your MMR is not equal, what happens if you're losing more than you're gaining, and all that stuff. I talk about that in that video. But the TLDR is basically if you have a 40% chance to win, that's your first dodge for 3 LP. If you're going to be losing 10 LP, do that at 25% chance. Now, that's strictly thinking about the risk-reward of LP. That doesn't take MMR into account because, once again, you don't lose any MMR. So it's even better than it looks. But when should you dodge? Once again, more in the video. I keep saying that like a broken record, but check it out. It's a really cool video. But the TLDR, you need to look up op.gg with people. So let's say... let's look up some people here. Let's say we've got... Okay, well, Sven is not... I thought that was his name. Trying to think of somebody else. Anyways, whatever. Just someone who's really high elo or whatever, okay? So if you're, let's say that you're going and you're looking in a lobby here, just type that in, and you can copy paste this. Once you get into the league lobby, you can just, left click, like drag, copy paste it. It'll say such and such, join the lobby. Just copy paste it right here, and then just press enter, and it'll tell you all of this information, okay? So you can see the champions that they played a lot. You can see their win percentages on those champions. You can see their overall win rate. You can see how hot they are, if they've been winning a lot lately or not. You can see their KDA. And if you want to, if you click on them, then you can go see, okay, which champions have they played, which items did they build, all of that stuff. So you get all kinds of really useful information. There is an app called Blitz app, which I think does some of this, but I just like op.gg. I think it gives more information. I've been using it for years. So you need to scout your teammates. Now, you're not doing this to be mean. You don't have to type to people, hey, you suck on that champion, don't play it. You don't have to do that. But you're just trying to do research to figure out, should you play this game or not, right? And so there are several things to look at here, right? So first of all, you want to see, are they experienced on the champion that they're playing, right? So do they have games on that champion? What's their win percentage on that champion? Are they building the correct items on that champion? So if you're looking at me here and, maybe you see, okay, well, if he plays Fiddlesticks, that's going to be bad, right? I do not want him to play Fiddlesticks. If you're looking at Double Lift here, you do not want him to play Yasuo, right? For example. So you're just seeing like, okay, if there are, 2 or 3 people on your team that are playing champions that they have a really bad win rate on, or just champions they haven't played at all. So let's say that, I just insta-locked Azir or something like that, right, in a game. Maybe I'm mid lane, I insta-locked Azir. You scroll down here, you're like, dude, this guy is a support main. He just locked Azir. He doesn't have any games on Azir. You can look at their past seasons. You're like, is he smurfing or something? No, he hasn't played Azir this season. Did he play it a lot last season? Nope. Still hasn't played Azir. Azir's a really hard champion to play, so that's bad. So you just have to think in your mind, okay, that person's probably going to fail, right? And that's fine. Like, once again, you don't have to be negative, but you have to just be realistic in your mind and just say, you know what, they don't have a lot of experience on that champion, so that's not good. And if 2 or 3 people on your team are playing first-time champions or champions they have very minimal experience on with a really low win rate, or they're just like not building the right items, to be competitive, maybe they're a Diana and you click on it and it's like, well, they're 40% Diana, maybe we can do that. Then you click on it and they like rush Infinity Edge or something. It's like, that's really bad. So you need to be thinking like, okay, that's rough. So you don't have to flame. You don't have to get mad about it. You just need to be like reasonable about it. Say, okay, that's rough. If you have 2 or 3 people on your team that are inexperienced, you might want to dodge. That's important. It's also important to think about losing lanes. So if your bot lane is, and this one's a little more complicated, you have to have a bit more experience with the game, but it's something to start thinking about, is just to think, okay, well, they have Draven Leona bot lane. We have Ezreal Sona or something in the bot lane. We're going to get murdered. We're going to lose that lane. We're going to have to play super defensively. It's going to be rough. Maybe mid lane, I don't know, your team has something like a Zoe, or like their team has a Zoe, which is a really powerful champion as of patch 8.13. Your team has something that's just like super off meta, that's going to be tough. Maybe your team has a Teemo middle or something, right, against a Zoe, and you're like, well, probably going to lose that lane. Then if you look at top lane and you're like, okay, well, they have a Darius and we have, I don't know, a Riven player that has like 10 games on Riven, we're probably going to lose that lane. So if you're going to lose 3 different lanes, or maybe you have a Master Yi in the jungle that's just going to AFK farm, and they have something like a Graves that's going to win the jungle pretty handily, probably. You need to be thinking that, like, okay, if all of my lanes are going to lose, or if my jungler is going to get outcompeted, if they're at least, all 3 lanes lose, you need to dodge, okay? So just be thinking about matchups. The easiest one to do is the experience. Has everyone at least played their champion? Like 10 times or something. Do they have at least a 45% win rate? Or something like that, right? So those are just some things to keep in mind on op.gg, and dodge. I'll let you in on a secret, too. I just figured this out earlier this season. It sucks to have to wait 30 minutes to play a game, right? I mean, everybody knows that. And it sucks to have to make a Smurf, because you have to spend like 20 hours leveling up, and then you don't have all the champions and all of that. And sometimes you just want to play some League of Legends, right? So I understand that on the dodge. Sign up for a PBE account. I don't know why I hadn't thought of this earlier, but it's free. And everyone gets one. You just go to online, just type League PBE. I think you have to have like honor level 2 maybe, or 3. I don't know. It's pretty easy to get. If you have a reasonable honor level, you can just click on eligibility. You download it. It has all of the champions, all of the skins, and it's not on the same lockout timer. So if you have to take a 30-minute dodge on your main account, you can just go play on the PBE. Just go try out something fun that you wouldn't usually play. Go try out some of the changes that they're making on the PBE. Go practice something. So that's a good way to get around the dodge timer. If you have to eat that 30-minute timer, but you just want to get in there, play some League, have some fun, just go play a game on the PBE while you wait on that 30 minutes. Boom. Or go watch a TV show. Go eat something. Go do your homework. Just go do something while that 30 minutes is going on. So I know it sucks to dodge. I know people don't like to dodge, but that's just what you have to do sometimes. So anyways, make sure you're doing your research. Look at op.gg. You don't have to be mean about it, but you're just trying to make informed decisions. And always dodge. If there's tension in the lobby, if someone's like, hey, I'm going to AFK, I hate you, I remember you went 0-16 last game, I'm going to make sure you lose this game, or something like that, just dodge. Or if people are picking things that are just like absolutely ridiculous, and you do the op.gg and there's no way they know what's going on, like if it's Teemo jungle and he's taking like Ghost Ignite or something, you have to dodge. Wait till the last second and dodge. You might say, I know this guy's holding the lobby hostage. I don't give into that. I don't want people to do that. They're not going to care. They're a troll, right? You should care because you want to gain ELO. Does it suck that you have to be the adult and dodge? Absolutely. Should Riot do more to punish people in lobby? Yes. But the reality of the situation is, if you want to climb, if you want to gain ELO, you have to be the adult. You have to dodge. A bad decision. So it sucks. Welcome to being an adult. But that's just what you have to do if you want to climb. So anyways, dodge more games. Use those tips. Hopefully that helps you out. Okay, final couple of things here, and then we'll wrap this up. Hour, 15 minutes. Hopefully it's not too long. Call everything for your team. Everything you can think of. Everything. So, track the jungler. Say, okay, and this, I've, videos about this. Watch my, macro video that I listed up here. I talk about that as well. But just think about where's the jungler going to be. If they're buffed, so most people start bot lane, right? So that's a good starting place. You don't have to know the exact pathing, but just think about, okay, most people start bot. If they get bot, there's a decent chance they're going to go scuttle. So if your jungler doesn't go to scuttle first, then you need to be very careful in your lane and ward the scuttle and make sure they don't go like red buff to scuttle to gank bottom. Okay? You need to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So watch out for the scuttle. Make sure it's warded, especially if your jungler's not going to go there. Ping the top lane. Let them know there could be a gank coming in at 3 minutes. It's very common for people to do things like, blue buff, top river scuttle, or like blue buff wolves, or like, whatever the bot lane buff is, some other camp, wolves, gromp, whatever, then go get the other buff, and then go gank top lane. I just know that around like 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes is a serious gank window top lane. So keep that in mind. Just understand that, like, also junglers are going to go get their buffs. So watch whenever their buff spawns, right? I believe that I'd have to double check this, but I believe the spawn is 5 minutes on like red and blue buff. So just know, they're going to go get that stuff around like 6.5, 7 minutes. You need to be aware of that. If you don't have really good vision in the jungle, obviously watch your mini-map and see if they show up. If they show up top lane, you obviously know where they are. They can't be bot lane for another minute or so, 30 seconds to a minute. So you can get aggressive in the bot lane if you see them top lane. If you see a mid lane, watch where they go. Do they go into the bottom jungle or into the top jungle? Pay attention to where they are. And just think logically as well. It's like, okay, if top lane is really far pushed up and they haven't been there recently, that means they're probably on the bot side of the map. So you need to be careful. Or like if a fight just broke out top lane and their jungler never showed up to that fight, they're probably on the bot side. So you need to be aware of that, right? So just be very careful. Respect the jungler. Do not fight if the jungler could be there, especially if your jungler is not on that side of the map. So if your jungler is on the top side, especially if your jungler just ganked and theirs didn't show up to help out, they're probably on the bot side. You're not going to have help from your jungler, so you need to be very, very careful, okay? So just think carefully, right? Now, you can do more advanced stuff like count the CS, see how much CS they have, and that's interpret how many jungle camps they took and stuff like that. That's way too advanced for this type of video, okay? So just think logically, okay, if I haven't seen the jungler, I don't know where they are, I'm going to be very cautious, all right? So yeah, don't push past the mid lane if you can't get away. If you could get ganked and killed, do not take that forward position if you don't have proper warding to do it. Another thing is ping all summoners. So that's another thing you can call out. If you see mid lane teleport back to lane, ping that. You see top lane teleport, ping it. You see their mid lane flash, like you're watching your minimap and you just see the Diana just pop from one place to another, you know they flashed, right? Because they have no other way to just jump like that on your minimap. So just ping that they flashed. Just ping everything. If you're about to do Baron or Dragon, look at your jungler. Do they have smite up? Sometimes they won't tell you. Sometimes someone will call Dragon and they'll walk over there and they won't have smite. And they just won't ping it. So you have to ping it. You have to ping their smite like 3 times and say, no, back, ping back. If they don't have smite, you do not do Dragon, you do not do Baron. Unless like everyone on their team is dead, obviously, or something like that. But if it's going to be contested, don't do it. So you have to watch that. Is it their responsibility? Yes. Should they tell you if they don't have smite? Yes, they should. But you know what? Sometimes they don't. So you have to be the smart person, the 200 IQ, and not only watch your, circle of influence, not only watch your timers, but also watch your allies' timers. Okay? And this is the number one thing. Do not let your team fight bad fights. This is hard to do, but don't let them do it, right? So what I mean by that is if it's going to be a 4v5 especially, so like if your jungler just back to go buy items and your mid laner is positioning aggressively in the mid lane, let's say that it's you, the AD carry, and the mid laner, no one on the enemy team is on the map, do not fight that. Ping them back. Say, wait, our jungler is in base. Wait, our top lane Darius does not have teleport. Watch his summoners. If your top laner doesn't have teleport, ping the timer on it. Say, don't fight. No teleport. Okay? So you have to be the person to watch that. Do not let them fight bad fights. If they're chasing into the enemy jungle, ping them back. Say, no, don't fight. Ping missing. Like, ping that the mid laner's missing. Ping their portrait. Ping the jungler's portrait. Ping back. Say 4v5. Don't fight. Type it in chat. Just don't let them do it. Now, will they still do bad fights? Yes. But here's the thing you have to understand about this. The power of suggestion is really strong. Like, I worked in a restaurant for 8 years. This is the entire premise of advertising. If you tell people things, they're likely to do it, right? Let me put it to you this way. They are more likely to do it than if you don't tell them. If you never shot call anything, there's a 0% chance that they're going to listen to your shot call. So in other words, if you never tell people back up, it's a 4v5, don't fight, then, they're always going to do whatever they were going to do. But if you ping back, say, don't fight, even if it's only like 50% of the time, that's still 50% of the time that you saved the game probably because they didn't fight. Oh, hi.
Hi.
You dressed up? Looking fancy? Type it on your phone? Let's see. I'm just finishing up this guide.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, bye. I'm sick,
Bye.
so... That's right. She's leaning in for a kiss. Like, no, don't want to get you sick. That's right. Sick is not fun. Bye, I love you.
Remember, there's more cough drops.
Yeah, I got some here.
Throat spray in the bottom drawer.
Okay.
But there's like a huge bag.
Alright, gotcha. Thanks.
Focus, baby.
So anyways, do not let them do it. So yes, will they still do it sometimes? Of course. Are people still going to make stupid plays? Yes, obviously, they will. But I will guarantee you they will minimize it. And the thing is also, like, people don't pay attention. Most people know a good call if they hear it. If you say, hey, don't fight 4v5, they'll say, oh yeah. I see that. I didn't see the jungler was in base, but now I see it. Because a lot of people are just on autopilot. They're just sitting there listening to their music, just chilling out, maybe talking with their roommate about their plans later on that night or whatever. Maybe texting somebody on their phone while they're walking back to lane or something. They're just not paying attention. Maybe streaming, reading the chat, instead of paying attention, right? And so you need to be their eyes and ears. And that's the biggest thing, is if you can stop them from doing even half of the stupid Clown Fiesta fights they do, you will gain a lot of ELO that way. That's probably one of the biggest things on this list. So ping back. If it's a 4v5, don't do it. Ping the teleport if it's on CD. Ping if an ally's ultimate is on CD. If you're... trying to think of a really important ultimate. It's kind of late here. I was just trying to do this like really late at night. I guess in the morning at this point, but I just want to do this video. Let's say that, I don't know, you have a Vi or something, and she doesn't have her ultimate. Or you have like a Zac, he doesn't have his ultimate, or Kennen, no ult, whatever. If you have a champion on your team that doesn't have an ultimate, and it's a really important ultimate, don't fight it, right? Just ping back, say, wait, 15 seconds on the ultimate, especially if it's your ultimate. Definitely ping if it's your ultimate, but you need to ping and look at your allies too and say, wait, no Kennen ult, let's wait 20 seconds for the Kennen ult. So look at the ultimates, let them know. If your ally just got a big item, so let's say that your Kaisa just completed Gensu's, you're pressing tab, you're looking at it, you see she just completed Gensu's, the enemy Jin hasn't completed his Storm Razor yet, or his Storm Blade, or whatever, say, hey, fight, we have Gensu's, they don't have Storm Razor, let's do it. Or maybe your Zoe just completed Death Cap, and, whatever the enemy mid laner doesn't have one of their key items, go fight. Right? So if you have an item advantage, if you just got the big item and they don't have it, go fight. Conversely, if they have the big item and you don't fight. So if it's an Ezreal and he just has Tyr, and the Jhin has a BF sword, do not fight that most of the time, unless you have a severe advantage, right? Unless your jungler's there, or like they have a really weak laner and you're playing like a Leona with Ignite. Don't fight it. So just look at those items. Even if Ezreal's pinging, let's fight. Say, no. Ping his Tyr, ping the BF sword. No, we're not fighting this. Okay? So, interpret this data and do not fight bad fights. It's really important also to note that as you get more of an advantage, then there's a higher probability that you're going to take a bad fight a lot of times. Because what will happen on the map, and we need to wrap this up, but what will happen is whenever you push them in, right? So whenever you push them into their base, let's say you take all of their tier 2s, you got them pushed in, like what the temptation is, the entire map is yours, right? So your team could do anything on the map, right? Like you could have your jungler could randomly go over to do golems, or maybe your mid laner's just randomly going over to do wolves. or it's 50 minutes into the game and your jungler just has to go get red buff because everyone knows that's going to turn the fight. But some of your allies could be pushed up, right? So let's say that your AD carry is just pushed up here, randomly threatening this tower. Like your mid laner's pushed up over here, but your jungler's over here getting red buff. Or maybe even 3 of you are together, but your top laner's up here, your jungler's getting red buff. They're all going to be in the same spot, probably, right? Because they have nowhere else to be. Because you have the whole map. You have all the lanes pushed up. You have all the vision. So they have to be in their base. It pushes them together. It forces them to group up and team fight. So that means that there's a much higher risk that they're all just going to engage on you and fight you right here if your jungler is down there. So you need to be aware of that. You need to say, look, don't push up that far. Jungler's randomly doing red, or don't push up that far. Top laner is like over here, you know, doing golems or something. Like, you don't have to be snide or mean about it, but just let them know. Say, hey, don't fight. You know, these people are doing this random stuff. Because this is how games get thrown so hard, is you'll have people on your team doing random crap on the map because you own the whole map, and then they're all bunched up in their base, huddled around. They see top laner over here like pushing this wave. They're going to say, hey, fight. Let's start a fight. Or maybe they have something down here warded. They're like, hey, the jungler's down there. Let's fight. So just keep that in mind, that as you gain an advantage, it gets even easier. It's a bigger temptation to take bad fights because the enemy team's going to be grouped and your team is less likely to be grouped. All right, ping objectives. Make sure you set those up early. Get to dragons in 30 seconds early. Make sure you sweep around Baron. Do the Baron baits. And telegraph your engages. That's the final thing I'll mention here as far as call everything. Telegraph your engages. If you're playing on Recon, ping it like 3 times before you go in. Ping 3 times and then do alt ping so that it puts the little crosshairs on the person you're going to go for. So put those crosshairs on that Soraka. Ping like 3 times. Make sure your team's ready. They're all around, and flash engages Recon. So just make sure you're telegraphing. And I think too often, I've seen this so often in coaching sessions, where someone plays some kind of engaged champion. They don't ping it. They get the engage, and they wonder why their team doesn't follow up. Should the team be paying attention and ready to follow up? Of course, they should be. Any moment, they should be ready to go. But realistically, they're zoned out, listening to their, Dave Matthews or whatever's cool these days. Making their plans on this, on their phone for this hot date. But if you ping like 3 times, they might wake up and actually be ready for it. So once again, are people going to make mistakes and not follow up on your engage? Yes. But are they more likely to follow up on your engage? Yes. If you suggest it, they're more likely to do it. I mean, that's just human nature, right? So it will help you out. So yes, you will have, duds on your team that do not follow your pings, that do not follow your shot calling, but I'll guarantee you will win a lot more games if you shot call. Because once again, you're going to have a 0% chance they're going to follow, your shot calling if you never actually ping anything or type anything. So just make sure that you're making the intelligent decisions, because you have to do better than everyone else, right? That's what carrying means. Carrying is not about doing more damage than everybody. It's about playing at a higher level than everyone else around you. Because if you truly deserve to climb, you should be making the better decisions. You should be making better calls, making better plays than anyone else in the game, right? Because if you were just average, if you're just, kind of going with the flow, you have some good games, you have some bad games, you never communicate, but you're just doing okay, you're never going to gain ELO because you're just doing the same as everybody else. You have to play better than everyone. It should feel like everyone's playing worse than you every game if you're going to climb, because they should be, right? You should be playing better than anyone if you're trying to climb. So don't get discouraged. Like, it can feel like your teammates never know what's going on and they're always in these clown fiestas and things like that. That's normal. It's normal for you to feel like you're playing better if you deserve to climb, because you should actually be playing better than all of them. So it just takes time. You have to be patient, right? Except for like challenger level Smurfs, playing like these hard carry, high influence champions going like 90% and things like that. Most people, if you're near your highest ELO, it takes time. So if the highest you've ever been is Silver 2 and you start taking this advice, you're not immediately going to be 80%, right? But you might go from 50% to 54%, and that's enough to climb. So just be patient. It should feel like, if you're learning, if you're becoming a better player, it should feel like you're playing better than all of your teammates. And that's normal, because that should happen if you're going to carry. So don't get too frustrated. Just be patient, stick to the plan, and you will eventually climb. Okay, the final thing I'll mention, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up, play around your strength. Use the tab, interpret the items, right? Look, see who has the best items, right? Not just the score, but the items, right? Who is strong? So if you have an Echo that has like a Death Cap and a Lichbane in the mid lane, and, you know, your bot lane Ezreal's like 0-5 and all he has is a Manamune, play around the Echo, right? So give him your wards, be there for him, gank for him, get items that are going to help him. So if you were thinking about getting Ardent Censer, scratch that. Get a Redemption instead, if you can, or get a Knight's Vow, or just something like that that's going to be able to help the Echo out. Since he's not an auto attacker, he's not going to get as much from Ardent. He's not going to get as much from Zeke's. He get a little bit out of it, but he might get more benefit out of, you know, a Knight's Vow to help protect him, or maybe more benefit out of a Redemption or a Locket to help protect him. So just play around, buy items that help the person who's strong, ward around the strong person, be around the strong person, make plays around your strength, okay? Use all of your cooldowns to help them. So, you know, if you have to choose, am I going to use my cooldowns, my shields, whatever, to go help out the Echo, or am I going to use it to try to save the Ezreal that's 0-5 that somebody's diving? Help the Echo, right? So help your strong person. You know, you might have to just let your weak person fend off. And League is balanced around that, right? The more items you get, they all multiply off of each other, and you get a lot stronger. That's why the funnel comp is really strong on patch 8.12 and 8.13, because they decided, hey, if you funnel all of your gold into one person, that's way stronger than two people. So, like, basically one person having 4 items is stronger than 2 people having 2 items, because of the way that scaling works and itemization works. I have an entire other video on that. If you want to know about scaling, check out the channel. It has a whole video on itemization. But basically, that's how it works. And so that's why you want to play around strong people. Also, if someone dies a lot, they're worth less every time they die. You know, Ezreal's 7th death is going to be worth a lot less gold to the enemy than if they shut down your Echo that's 5-0 and get that shutdown gold, right? They'll probably get like triple the gold off of killing the Echo. So play around your strong people. Just let the weak people do their thing. You don't have to rage at them or whatever if they're like, you know, complaining to you. If they're like, hey, support, why don't you help me out? And it's like you're 0-7 Draven and you've been playing around the Echo who's like 8-0 now. Just mute them. If they have a problem with it, just win the game. Or, I mean, you could just say, hey, man, Echo's doing really well. I'm just trying to help him out, you know. Then, we'll get you some kills in a minute. You know, you can type stuff if you want to, but if you don't feel like it, just mute them and do your thing. But avoid allies who are weak. Avoid enemies who are strong, right? So if they have an Irelia that's 8-0, split pushing top lane, do not go fight that Irelia. Leave her alone and go pick on somebody else. Go pick on their 0-3 Draven bot lane. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of shutdown gold if you go kill the Irelia, but she's so strong. It's a much higher chance that something bad's going to happen if you go up there. Like their enemy jungler shows up or, you know, something bad happens. So fight their weak people. Pick on the weak people. Do not fight their strong people. If you can help it. Sometimes they group and you have to fight them all. But if you have a chance, pick on the weak people. Also, just psychologically, if you continually camp a weak person, they will tilt most of the time. They will rage out. They're not going to have the gold to fight you back. They're not going to have summoners because the last time you killed them, they probably flashed. So there are so many reasons to just pick on weak people, right? If you're a jungler, camp weak people. If you're, you know, a support and you're able to roam around and pick on the weak people, right? So pick on weakness. Do not fight their strength. Play around your strength. Play to your team's win condition. That's the last thing for real that's going to be going on in this video. But play around your team's win condition. Okay, do you have good assassins? Maybe try to pick people off. Do a split pick. If you have a siege comp, you know, try to do the siege comp. Tell your team to group up in siege. If you have really good poke, you have like an Ezreal and a Zoe, go siege, ward your flanks. If you have a Kha'Zix and an Irelia, tell your team to do a split pick. You know, maybe everyone's trying to group 5 middle and they have like an Anivia and they just keep wave clearing and you're just A-ramming middle, not getting anything done. Tell your team, hey, Irelia, go top. Kha'Zix, come with me. Let's bait them in the jungle. You know, clear out their jungle, get a pink ward in there, and just play it like that. Like, direct them. Say, hey, we're best as a split push team. Our siege sucks. Let's do that. Or, wow, our split push sucks. We have a team fight team. We're really good. Let's see if we can set up Malphite plus Yasuo plus Kennen in team fight. Don't split push. You know, their Fiora is 10-0. Don't try to split push her. Let's group up in team fight. So just whatever your team is good at, identify that and try to do that as much as possible to play around the strength of your team comp. Okay, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. I know this is a longer video. Hopefully it doesn't scare off too many people, but I tried to put as many details as I can possibly put in there for you. Hopefully it helps you out. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps other people find the content. I'm also on Twitter, @TheStratProf, and I'm also on Facebook, The Strategy Professor. If you know other people that might enjoy this content that are looking for some tips to help them climb, like real stuff, not just 10-minute, crap like I talked about before, the all caps videos, then send them over here. Let them know, hey, this is some good stuff. And if you want to check out more content, I have some of it linked for you here. I'll put some in the description. But there are more guides like this if you want to learn more specifically about wave management or macro or dodge games. I have like hour-long videos for each one of those with the same timestamps, the same Google Doc, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can skim it. But that's going to be it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you gained a lot of ELO out there. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have some other tips that you think would help people out. And drop by the stream sometime too. It's around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a lot of friendly faces. It's a really cool, unique community. It's not just spamming emotes everywhere. People have real conversations, make some real friendships in there. It's a good time. I know it sounds cheesy, but I think it's a lot different than other chats out there. So come check it out sometime. But that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.